What are you saying, people? Hope you're well. Welcome back to the show. Haven't seen you for a while, but we're back. And what a weekend of football. My goodness, what a weekend of football. Saturday was a little bit bleak, if I'm honest with you, but yesterday, oh my God, what a day of football. As far as Arsenal were concerned, it certainly did look good. And there was a few other opinions flying around yesterday in relation to Liverpool and Man City. Manchester United, who drew, West Ham, who dropped points. It was a bit of a Sunday weekend as opposed to a Saturday, but great to see you all joining us. Welcome to Lee and welcome to Kenny. Kenny, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing really well. I'm enjoying my football. Did enjoy yesterday, and I think that's collectively the opinion of everyone. So before anyone in the chat or anyone who's fans of your show, because I know you've got a good crossover of fans, because I know you might have a little partnership with people from other podcasts. Before you say anything, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that I've seen the fan cams, especially the man to my right, and he was just as frustrated with our performance as anyone else. So it's not just me. I think collectively we were a bit concerned because it's probably our worst performance, but we won, and that's something that teams that are going for silverware should be doing, winning when they're playing badly. It wasn't an ugly win; it was just a bad performance, and Leeds missed an opportunity there. But you know what? All eyes are now on PSV, where we're going to be playing a very good team, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting on Thursday to see what he does with the squad as well, because the rotation has got to come in again. And I felt that we looked a little bit jaded. So I want to come to you first, Lee. Before we go into the game and break it down, you went to the game and there was a little bit of confusion, mate. I watched it on the watch along and there was no sound. So I didn't know what was going on either. But in the ground, from what I hear, neither did you. So what was all
No,
that about, mate?
no, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We just started playing. The next minute, they were walking off. No one knew no one knew what was going on. We was actually trying to get on the phones to see what was going on. Couldn't get no internet in there because obviously it's inside a stadium. We was standing there for 30 minutes and no one knew. The only reason we knew the game was kicking off at 22 was because someone had got on the phone and said, they just said it was going to be at 22. There was also talk that the game was going to be called off. And so we didn't even know what was going on there, it was I think totally out of order, for paying supporters not to know anything what was going on is absolutely shocking, so yeah, that was a big disappointment really, so nothing you can do. They just take your money all the time, don't they? This is another little indication of they don't care about the fans.
Well, I think it's mad that we're in 2022 and wherever you go to a ground, you can't get any internet service. There's never any Wi-Fi to log into. And I know it's not all about having phones we never used to have in the old days, but you'd like to think that you can actually send a tweet or at least find out what's going on or use the internet or message a mate on the WhatsApp or something like that. But you can't do it nowadays. And I don't know, maybe we're 5-10 years away from that, Kenny, but it looks to me, I mean, a guy who's always got unbelievable tech and Wi-Fi, I'll come to you, Kenny, you know what I mean? It's like, what's that all about, mate?
Piano. You're loving the piano. But yeah, I think what's happened is that obviously we're watching at home, and it was a bit of a shock to everyone watching at home because obviously we were getting our feed from all parts of the the world as opposed to the United Kingdom. And from what I could see is that I think it's a bit of an irony really, because a lot of our fans, a lot of football fans in general, are not really massive fans of VAR. But yesterday, they would have gladly played the game without VAR. But the kind of sort of like quagmire situation is that if we've played the game without VAR, fans would have got their football, but we would have lost the game because, ironically, VAR kind of made the right decision with regards to Bamford's equaliser in inverted commas and the penalty situation in injury time as well, involving Bamford and Gabriel. So it's one of those things where we don't like. Majority of people don't like VA, but it was probably worth it that we waited 40 minutes. So it's one of those things. But again, I would second that. The communication for fans in stadiums is actually horrendous. No one says anything. No one gives any up-to-date information. And I think the reason why they do it, I think they do it on purpose, because if they were to say it had something to do with VAR, fans were going absolutely ballistic because, as you know, a lot of fans don't like the fact that if their team scored, all of a sudden it's got to go to, to a monitor. So they don't like that. So I think if they was to say it's something to do with VAR, I think there would have been like some sort of catcalling or maybe a riot. So I think that's why they don't try to give them information. But I'll tell you one thing now, if they had called the game off, I think there would have been an absolute riot in Leeds Centre because, again, fans who would have gone to the game, well, I can only speak for myself because if I was there, I don't care if there's no technology, no Wi-Fi, don't care. All I know is that as long as there's TV cameras and, we can transport the game over because, TV are that important when it comes to Premiership. And as long as we have 11 men, 2 assistant referees and a fourth official and a referee, fans in the stadium will want the game going without VAR. So in that respect, no fan wanted to kind of wait for the, for the game to restart. But fans in the stadium, we got more information from like Sky Sports than you guys got, and I think it's horrendous. But I think they do it because, I think it's something to do with the club as a case of the information you give to 40,000 fans, because you've got to really make sure that you don't have a crowd control problem if you tell the fans the truth.
Yeah. No, listen, I think you both make good points in relation to where we're at in that. Just before we do come back to Lee, Skegness Davies in the house. He says, hello, everyone. Little delay as I'm not there. I will say, with 8 minutes to 5:30, he messages me and he says, can you do this tonight, mate? I was like, yeah, no worries. I'm rushing around trying to get a code and everything like that. And then he comes there and he goes, they're delayed because I'm not there. Cheers for that, Dave. Top man. But he says, I am here in spirit with everyone. Judge. Let's come to you, Judge. Lee, if you're a Leeds United fan, are you walking off after that game feeling disappointed? Are you walking off feeling positive, or are you actually feeling negative and frustrated? What's your thoughts as a Leeds perspective, mate?
If I was a Leeds fan, I'd be very, very pleased with the way we played and everything. I thought they were fantastic. I really do. They hustled us, they squeezed us, they worked really, really hard. I actually said at half time they can't keep this up. You know what I mean? And they did. So all credit to them. I think that was fantastic. Do I feel they were a little bit harsh? Not really. When looking back at everything now, I've had a good look at everything. Decisions went our way, and rightly so. I think first and foremost, let's talk about their penalty. Should never ever been a penalty. Miles offside. That Dermot Gallagher can turn around and say, it was not. It was too long on that. Well, it's too long. They pulled back like things for
same phase of play though, weren't it?
Same phase of play. It's an absolute ridiculous decision from a player. How's these people getting work? Starting to really frustrate me and all that. Like, stop defending the indefensible. These referees and linesmen are crap. Let's get this straight now. They're crap. They're spoiling football. He's offside. You can see it by a mile. It should have been a free kick to Arsenal. We move on. The free kick for the goal, definite push. Not a great big push, but still a push. End of foul. And then as for the last one, can I just say this? How a linesman, right, can conclude from what I have seen that it's a penalty and a sending off is nothing other than he must be corrupt, because if he's not corrupt, he shouldn't be nowhere near a football pitch, because it's absolute ridiculous decisions that he's made. He doesn't see the push, but he actually sees the kick out and he thinks it's a penalty. The bloke should never be near a flag, near a football pitch or an officiating a game ever again. It's horrendous decisions. Horrendous decisions. I don't say this very often, Dan. Thank God for VAR, because at the end of the day, we could have actually lost that game. But realistically, VAR cost us as well, because that, how has that got a penalty? How is that not offside? I just don't believe. I just cannot believe what I'm seeing at this football. I then watch a blatant penalty at Man United not given. I see Harry Kane. Referee can't wait to give it. Was a penalty, by the way, but it was a dubious one. Can't wait to give that. And I see stonewall penalties being waved away. And as soon as Harry Kane gets tickled, it's a penalty. You know what I mean? Like this is an absolute joke. What is going on with our football a minute? I'll tell you what. Yesterday was a good. I thought Arsenal played well in the first half, by the way, and it was a really good game. Second half, Leeds took over, and Bamford was probably the difference. But I look at it, and I'm sorry, like it's being ruined. It's being ruined. Our game is being ruined by absolute scandalous refereeing week in, week out. If it ain't ridiculous decisions on VAR, it's ridiculous decisions on the pitch. And I look at it like, and, I've heard today that if the referee gives the penalty for Manchester United against Newcastle, when Newcastle's gets, if he gives it, VAR are not going to get involved. So if you don't get it, they're not going to get involved. If Harry Kane's one weren't a penalty, if the referee said that weren't a penalty, VAR would not get involved. It's absolutely ridiculous. What is a penalty and what's not? What's handball and what's not? I honestly think they couldn't wait to give that handball. By the way, I thought it was handball, if I'll be honest. But, anything close to being handball, they're going to give after the last week's one. I'm going to say this now. I've been in football for a very, very long while. And this is the last bit of my rant on this, right? I do not now know what is handball for a penalty. I do not know now what is offside for, which is offside now. I have known the rules for a very, very long time. Over the last 5 years, I do not know the rules of football no more. I don't know what is handball. I don't know what is a penalty. And that's all enough I'm going to say on it.
Yes, and I think you bring up facts, mate. And, yesterday, Kenny, there was a lot to talk about. There was red cards, there was fouls, there was penalties. It was absolute madness as far as VAR are concerned. And thank God that VAR was working, because we would have lost that game if it weren't for that. We'll come on to some of the incidents, but I want to get your opinions on some of them. This is where I saw it. I thought the handball was a handball from Saliba. I think they got that one right. I think there was definitely a push. Whether you think that was a foul or not on Gabriel, I don't know, but Bamford scored a goal that I thought I'd be pretty peeved if that was Jesus on one of their centre-halves. I thought that was very, very harsh in my opinion, but we got away with one there. The penalty is offside, 100%. He misses it. And then the last thing, he's fouled Gabriel and everyone can see that straight away. Gabriel was kicked out and he's an idiot for doing it, right? He has. He ain't done a Vieira. He ain't gone mental. He ain't maliciously done it, but his head's gone and he's thought, oh, shit, I've already gone too late now. I've already half done it. So the linesman decides, well, there's nothing more that can happen other than a penalty and a red card here. He can't be serious if he believes that that's the first thing he needs to be doing. So there's a few for me there, Ken, that we've seen. But I wanted to get your thoughts on what you think they got right and what you think they got wrong, mate.
Well, things in terms of like the first incident for the handball, Lee's right. Well, because we got very, very lucky with the incident last week at the Emirates with Gabriel, where Yotta's put the ball in. He has whether he likes it or not. There has been it was hand to ball, so we got away with that one, even though referee gave us the benefit of the doubt. Next week, because Klopp complained about the decisions and VAR and complained of referee decisions, the referee's going to see an Arsenal player hand the ball 100%. That's going to be a penalty. So that's a penalty. In terms of that phase of play, because I know Lee, you're talking about the offside in the build up to it, but I think in that kind of that phase of play, they did the ref because the liner didn't go for the offside. He's gone for the penalty. In terms of the goal, unfortunately, Bamford's got wrong. If Bamford has gone with his chest and his chest comes shoulder, that's a goal. But when you're going in and you're going in a pushing motion, you have to disallow it. You just have to. There's no question about it, because, we've seen what happened a few hours later, with the goal that Man City scored at Anfield, where, Haaland has pulled the shirt of Fabinho. He's involved in the the phase of play towards the goal. Foden puts in the rebound. That has to be disallowed. So there's consistency. It's a good decision by VAR. In terms of the last incident, the injury time, I would say one thing though. If the liner doesn't see the push and he sees the kick out, I've seen players get sent off for that. Even though you move, you move your leg, you don't catch the person. It's the intent, the fact that you've gone in like that. Let's not forget, nearly 20 years ago, we had a situation with Vieira at Old Trafford where He's gone with a 10. Decided, oh no, that's not a good idea. I'm Patrick Vieira. I get sent off every other week. Van Nistelrooy knows it's Patrick Vieira and just moves away and makes sure that the referee knows that there was a kick aimed at him. So, that could have gone either way, because had that not been like a push by Bamford, that's a penalty. Because if, any kind of contact, violent contact, red card, that would have been a penalty. So a push, by Bamford in order than that. Again, Bamford, if he goes with his chest comes shoulder, no doubt about that. The referee could have been well within his rights to give a penalty, because he could say, well, as the intent was there. I don't think he would have given a penalty, but he definitely would have sent him off.
Can I say a couple of things on that, Ken?
Yeah.
I'll say a couple of things on that, right? First of all, the one with Patrick Vieira, he got 2 yellow cards. So it was a yellow card offence, you know what I mean? I think that was probably a yellow card offence on that one, right? But I'm on with you on this with this Gabriel one. I've watched it a couple of times. He initiates the push. Now, I mean that, but we've all done it. We've all played, just stand in front of him and he's going to push you, right? So he knows that that's coming, It's a little bit winding up on Gabriel's point of view. You can look at it like that, but you know what he's doing. The ball's going through to the goalkeeper. He's just standing his ground. He's going to let him push. So he knows that push is coming, right? So when the push comes, then for Gabriel to react like that, I think it's poor, because he's incited it. He's initiated that push. So for him to actually then go and do what he's done, he was very, very fortunate, And I'm sorry now, I'm a big Gabriel fan, but that could have cost us yesterday. And his little bit of petulance has happened on a couple of occasions now. Cut it out. Someone get hold of him and cut it out. Now, I'm expecting him to be not put to task by the manager, but for Arteta now to come in and say, right, this has got to stop. These I think even Xhaka went up to him and had a little word with him about it. And I don't think he liked what he see, and he didn't like what he said. But he's right. I'm now getting a little bit fed up with it. He's got 4 bookings, a couple of them little petulant little things, and I think he's got to bring that out of his game. I think with Gabriel, I'm going to be really honest with you. If I was an opposite supporter, I'll be starting going, he's a little bit of a wind-up merchant. He's a little bit he incites a few little bits, you know what I mean? He's always getting involved a little bit, I don't like it, you know what I mean? If you're a centre-half and you be a centre-half, they're horrible people, you know what I mean? I'll be honest, you know what I mean? You don't want a centre-half where you feel that you can get into him, and I think that's what Bamford did, and niggle him, and he might do something wrong, Dan. And I think that's where I think that this has got to stop now.
Listen, he's been weeks and weeks and weeks, and I've been praising him, I've been crediting him, I've been sticking up for him, because I do like him as a defender. I think it's parts of his game are flawless when it comes to defending. Unfortunately, he's got an error in him, and when you stick up and stick up and stick up, and he does something like that, you have to hold Jads up and say, okay, you're on your own then, fella. Because if you're going to do something like that, then you deserve all the stick you're going to get, because that was just absolute madness for me. Right at the end of the game, you don't react like that. Like you said, he thinks he's already going to play for the foul. Once he gets the foul, you just get up and get on with the game. You don't kick out at someone like that and lose your head. That for me is mad. People say he's a young lad. He's 25 in a month's time. That's not young. He's not a young lad. He needs to learn, mate, and he needs to learn quick. And I've stuck up for him, just like I did with a few of the other players. When I see Granit Xhaka coming up to him and telling him off, I love it. It's quite funny, isn't it? That it takes Granit Xhaka to come up and point the finger and say, don't do what I've been doing for the last 5 years. Maybe he's grown up a bit. Maybe he's shown a bit of leadership skills there. But I look at it now and I think, yeah, fair play to Granit, because that could have lost us the game, mate. Or not lost us the game, could have dropped us points. What's mad is all of our back line, which I'm going to come to next, was shocking. Right? And he was probably the better one of the better ones. That's how bad it was. I thought Saliba, Tommy Asu, he's gone from a 10 out of 10 to a 4 out of 10. He was awful. Ben White, subbed, ineffective, just poor all round. And then Gabriel does that at the end. What is going on defensively? Kenny, I'll come to you, man. I didn't think any of our defenders played well. And if it weren't for Ramsdale, we wouldn't be getting anything out of this game, mate. I thought Ramsdale was wicked. 8 out of 10 for me in the ratings, at least. He was wicked. The others, be lucky to get 8. They had them all up, their scores. They were shocking.
Well, you left out a couple of the midfielders as well. You left out Odegaard's woeful performance, and
Oh, shocking.
someone needs to talk about the fact that he's been substituted in the last few games, and that we're going into sort of Mesut Ozil territory where he does an assist or pre-assist, and we just think he's had a good game when that's not the case. His performances have dropped off. Gabriel Jesus has had a poor game yesterday. He didn't hold the ball up. Eddie Nketiah was even laughable as well when he didn't hold the ball up, because when you talk about how badly we played, it's because Leeds put us under pressure and we were not mentally able to quell attacks. It was a wave of attack and attack, because when they started the game, Leeds started where they were being compact and seeing if they could hit us on the break. It's only in the second half when they had a go that we just weren't able to cope with it. And, combination of rightful VAR decisions and, Aaron Ramsdale saved their bacon, because there was a lot of players, who did not play well. Saka would probably get credit because he scored a goal, but again, he was missing, in the second half. And I think that's the situation, is that the reason why we got the right to call these players out is because we got no credit in the bank. No one gets credit in the bank. You win the title consistently every season, or start challenging every season, then you get a bit of credit in the bank. When you finish 8th and 5th, and then you're finally getting a bit of purple patch, we can't do some sort of like Cinderella thing where the kiss from the prince makes us forget all the bad memories. Still, a bit raw because it's only 9 games. We've been down this road before with Arsenal, where 07, 08, 13, 14, we've had excellent starts where we kind of faded away. But that's kind of another discussion, probably another podcast. But the fact is that you've got to maintain your standards. The contributory factor is the manager, because he's trying to win the group in the Europa League, even though the competition and the level of opposition is pathetic. I'm sorry, you don't have to play your best team or even play your best players for 20 minutes, because the team's there, and I say it respectfully, probably with the exception of PSV, it's useless, rubbish. You can play that first level and win all your games. PSV would be a bit different, but the amount of firepower we have, even without our big boys, we'll still win the group anyway and go straight in the last 16. So it was unnecessary to risk a lot of our players, because coming to this Leeds game now, not only have we got the intensity that Leeds were going to put us through, we now got players who probably were heavy-legged, probably not at their fittest, because they play on that heavy pitch. Not an excuse, because Dave, when you play for a big club like Arsenal, you are going to be playing. You're not going to be playing just 38 league games. If you're going to be successful, you've got to play at least 60. So the players know that. But sometimes if you know what's coming with Leeds, you've got to keep your players fresh. But saying that, you're right. You're talking about the fact, saying Gabriel's probably our best performer yesterday. You're damn right he was, because he's been absolute liability in quite a few games. His form's dropped as well. But, people defending him because of, they're giving him a bit of credit in the bank. But I'm telling you right now, is that I don't give players credit in the bank. If you're going to do player ratings, you're going to go on fan cams and talk about the game, then you have to talk about what you see at the time. You can't go, oh, yeah, he's had a bad game, but he scored. No. Call it as you see it. And as we see it, as we saw it today, everyone collectively called out a few players. I think you left out certain players as well. Obviously, it's easy to call out defence, but defenders are only going to get under pressure if people are not doing their jobs in front of them. If the midfield isn't pressing, if Odegaard's not pressing from the front, or Nketiah and Jesus not doing their jobs in the front, then obviously the ball's going to keep coming forward, because it's your defenders a team. So if you're going to talk about the full defenders, add a few of our attackers on. Yes, they've been good last season, but on that game, their poor performances, least pressure, a bit of indiscipline could have cost us.
Yeah, listen, I think you talk a lot of facts here, Ken. I can't lie. You're talking a lot of facts. And Lee, I don't know what happened yesterday, but a few players looked off to me. And I wanted to ask you if you believed that it was a little bit jaded because of midweek, the Norway effect. Was it the fact they hadn't had much time back? I thought Odegaard was off the pace. I thought the first 10, 15, he looked all right. Obviously set up Saka with an assist. Then he went missing and had to get subbed because he was poor. Jesus weren't fit. I'm sorry, there weren't no way he was fit. I saw him, he was losing the ball. He looked terrible. Martinelli looked good in glimpses, running into trouble. Saka, great goal, went out the game. Nobody could get the ball to him. Partey looked calm when he was on the ball, but give it away as much as he could. Xhaka, probably one of the only ones out of the field that could hold his head up high. Ramsdale in goal, superb. That back line were poor, mate. That's the worst game I've seen Saliba play yet in an Arsenal shirt. He's due one, to be fair. I'm struggling for performances, judges. Why do you think that was?
Yeah, look, listen. One of the reasons was because their press and everything Leeds done was put us into. They worked their socks off. I'm going to give them a bit of credit. They made us play bad. They made us hurry things. They had 3 players on Saka, and then like the ball was put over it to the left-hand side when Martinelli got it. There was 3 players on him. They worked very, very hard. I was impressed with their work rate. I think if I'm going to be, I think Arteta made a massive mistake keeping the players over in Norway till Friday. I don't know what the hell he was doing that for. Like, all the players stayed out there till Friday afternoon, didn't get back till 5 o'clock. Know that because obviously speaking to Aaron Ramsdale's dad, he said that they stayed out there and come back till he got back at 5 o'clock on Friday evening. The reason they done that was because there was only 3 players out. That was El Neni and Zinchenko. They weren't available. And so it was only Jesus that was going to play. So they had the whole squad out there. So they'd done a warm down on that day and come back in the afternoon. They were tired. I think they were jaded off it, but he got away with it. I think he got away with it. Like, I think that, like, I don't know. I don't care what anybody says, if you've got a chance of being in your own bed, I think, you want that, don't you? Like, to come back on the Friday evening at 5 o'clock, train Saturday morning, then jump on a train to Leeds and then another hotel and all that. I just, he got away with it. He got away with it from that. Like, I think, he tried something different. And I think that he got away with it. Like, I think, they've got a private jet that takes them there. I'm speaking to the security bloke and that they, it's not like the fans that had to go to Oslo and then on to Bodo. They was Bodo straight home to the airport. So I just think it was a bad decision, like, but he got away with it. And I think, like I've always said, Mikel is a very, very lucky manager.
Man.
Like, at times.
Yeah, I know you always say that.
And he got away with it there, like, I felt the Tommy Hasu decision was a masterclass against Liverpool. Fantastic decision. It wasn't yesterday because the game of Liverpool was 50-50, like they were going to have lots of possession, so was we. This game we had more possession, but he just kept coming in on his right.
Why did you think he stuck with him, Lee? Was it because he was so good last weekend, or what?
I think maybe there was a little bit of that. A little bit
like,
of that.
What annoys me though is that he says to Tierney, "This is tactical, mate. Don't feel downhearted." Then he puts him in again. That weren't tactical against Leeds, was it? So is Tierney now third choice? It's worrying for me, man.
No, I don't think that there's anything. I think that Tierney will play on Thursday. I don't think at this moment in time, Tierney's body at this moment, with going through injuries, is going to be risking playing him week in, week out. I think that, he's decided that he's going to be the Europa League left back at this moment in time. A massive worry on Zinchenko at the moment. He's nowhere near the team again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think he's come to the team and been injured. I don't know what's going on there. But I felt that this was a game where you got to move the ball quickly and try and what's the word? Get, through the press. Well, you ain't going to get through the press when the ball comes across your body and you're having to play it into your left foot and then come inside. What you need to do is let it go across your body, play your left foot, pass out to Martinelli. So I think Martinelli was having to come inside and collect the ball. He wasn't quick enough on there. Didn't change it around enough for me. I thought Ben White was poor because of lack of options. They got the ball. There was lack of options because they were being hustled and bustled wherever you want to look at it there. I agree with you with Saliba. He got put under pressure, and I thought first half was different class, by the way. Second half, I think he got under pressure and made mistakes, and was very, very fortunate, Dan. Very, very fortunate. Midfield, I'm going to say this now, that Thomas Partey give away the balls like they was all shopping at Iceland, where you get one, you give away, like so many giveaways. It was unreal, like, you know what I mean? And then, Xhaka, I thought, did play very, very well. Odegaard played well in the first half. I will say this, he gets a little bit of a pass because he works hard. He did work hard again yesterday. I thought he was woeful in the second half, wasteful in everything that he done. But he weren't the only one. They was all doing it. They was all doing it, like, in fact, the two best players on the pitch were Gabriel and Xhaka. The rest of them were a little bit off the pace or off of it and all that, But I will say this now and leave it on a positive note, is that your goalkeeper's not there just to make up the numbers. He is there to do a job. He is there. I remember going to Sunderland when we won the league in 2001, and David Seaman hardly, done it. But then he made a couple of fantastic saves against Sunderland. We won the game 1-0. It wasn't a great performance, but we got the job done. And everybody coming home and lauding David Seaman's performance. I thought Ramsdale yesterday was outstanding. I think there's been a few iffy games from him, at times this season. But my God, he turned up yesterday and produced a wonder performance. He was brilliant. He was brilliant. Sometimes when you're away from home and things are not going well, that you need your goalkeepers to come and do it. But what worries me, and I don't care what anybody says, and it does worry me, is that that's 2 away performances now, Bodo and this one here, that we've been not at our best. Not at our best, and we need to if we produce that sort of performance against Southampton or Wolves away, or definitely Chelsea away, we're in trouble. So we've got to perform a little bit better. I really do think this, guys, that there was a little bit of jadedness going into that game, travelling and everything like that. I don't think it will be so much for PSV because we're home. But the one thing that worries me is that other teams at this moment in time are playing the same team week in, week out. Tottenham are keeping virtually the same side week in, week out because they've got Champions League. We've got an advantage to rest a few players here. I don't feel that there's a need to be playing so many of our players. And if we can't win this group with the squad that we've got, then I'm looking at the squad and thinking, well, it's not strong enough and it needs to be replaced, because I think that we're having to play a wide player, or we're playing Nelson. At this moment in time, I don't want to see I don't want to see Saka, and I don't want to see Martinelli on Thursday night. I don't want to see Jesus neither. I think I'm with you on this one. I don't think he was 100% fit for whatever reason. I don't know why he wasn't fit. One of the reasons we lost the second half battle because he couldn't hold up anything, where he has done in the past. I think, but listen, all these boys are entitled to have a bad game as well. We've been playing fantastic football all the way through. Now we beat Man United. We lost to Man United, playing really, really well. I'd rather play like we did yesterday and win than play like we did against Man United and lose. So at the end of it, we got through it. Yeah. I don't know how, but we did, and you move on from it.
Yeah. Kenny, listen, I know you've got a shoot, but I wanted to bring this one in for you just before you do, man. There's a couple of things. Sorry, man. I know you've run over.
Don't worry.
Lee, Dan, Kenny, players look tired. Europa League games getting to us. We should rotate now. Jesus looked injured. Tommy can't play at left back again and again. And this one from Luke, just quickly, what did you guys make out of Arteta's comments that the players who played against Bodo really struggled? If we can't cope playing 2 games a week, then don't get too excited about this season. Now, some people will say that's harsh. Some people will say it's fair. I personally feel like this has been the big issue as to why nobody in the world that I've ever spoken to has said Arsenal winning this league, because the squad's not strong enough, mate. And I looked at the bench yesterday and we said to the lads, and so I said to Turkish goes, should we make some subs? And I went, go on, and who would you bring on? And he went, Tierney. I went, right. He goes, yeah, that'll be it. We need more players. And I thought, yeah, we do, because Vieira, he come on and was poor. Eddie Nketiah come on, he was poor. I don't know. I don't get excited by that bench. We've basically got that 11 and then we're stuffed. Until Zinchenko and Smith-Rowe come back, we ain't got anyone, have we? We really have not got anybody. And this squad is so thin that we're praying to get to January now, Kenny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you say. But one thing I said is I've been consistent since our first game. God bless her soul when Her Majesty passed away against Zurich. The level of competition in that league, especially the group stages, isn't strong enough for us to play our best team. So you've got players chomping at the bit. Marquinhos is chomping at the bit. Cedric hasn't even played a game for us. He's fit. He's chomping a bit. He could play. He could have played one of those games. You've got players like Nketiah where it's competition, really, isn't it? So in terms of the group stage, we shouldn't really be having to, select these players, especially when we've got a squad. And when you talk about, the squad, universally, all Arsenal fans have always said, even amongst themselves in WhatsApp groups, or any Arsenal fan you meet in passing, the squad's too thin, and that's something we've all agreed on. And I think that's why there's a lot of caution about Arsenal in the league, because of the fact that we haven't got your squad's thing. Because we know that we have injuries to certain players. There's still a gap between I say this respectfully, there's a massive gap between Jesus and Eddie. Now that's not out of order, it's just fact. There's a massive gap between Albert and Thomas Partey. That's just facts, you know what I mean? So if you've got a massive gap in quality between the guys supposed to replace you, then, we have got a problem. And then you even have a massive problem when the guys have their chance in Bodo, players like Nelson, Albert, Eddie, to impress and try and bridge that gap so we don't have to spend in January. You don't take their opportunity on Thursday. It's very worrying. So if you look at the games we're going to play, you have to assume that we'll probably be top of the table before the World Cup by a point. So coming into January, coming into Christmas, you've got West Ham, Brighton, Newcastle, then you've got the North London derby. So whether we like it or not, if we're still at the top by then, we are challenged for the title. Well, no, we've faded away before, even before April. But if Arsenal are serious at taking this opportunity that's presented itself, you have to buy. The January window is going to be very important for Arsenal. And even with the World Cup as well, you're going to get a few players who are going to be in a shop window, because they're going to, and it could be, obviously players from what you call like the African countries or your further depth places in South America. They might be available. Or, what happens in January, you've got a problem player who's probably your best player who wants that. He always leaves in January. Always happens. So maybe we can look at that. But saying that, we need cover at right back. We need a new midfielder who's either can play alongside Thomas or play instead of Thomas. And also we've got to have some variety up front, because whether we like it or not, as much as you may admire Edward for his tenacity and the fact he works hard, quality-wise, I say it respectfully, he's not an Arsenal player. So if anything happens to Gabriel Jesus, you want a player of sufficient quality to take over. Everyone's talking about Vlahovic. I mean, he's gone quiet until the weekend when he scored, but that was the player we were talking about last January. So, again, if Arsenal, want to come out, believe they're in a title challenge, then they got to act like they're in a title challenge and, get some quality replacements and enhance their squad.
Yeah, listen, I think you're talking facts again, man, and we do need to get to January for me now. And I believe 2 players, one that can go across the forward front 3 and be a better cover than the couple that we've got there, and definitely a midfielder, man. So, Kenny, I'm going to let you shoot, man, because I know you've got to go, but I appreciate you being on, mate, as always, bro.
It's always a pleasure, like I said. We do the fan cams afterwards. People say, how can Kenny be on there? He's always been critical of the club. Well, ladies and gentlemen in the chat and ladies and gentlemen in the comments, I come via invitation. Now, I'm sorry that they chose me instead of you, but life's a bit of a bitch, isn't it?
Mate, absolute pleasure having you on, man. I love having you on, man, and you're always welcome. But listen, head over to follow people, Kenny on socials, man, at KennyKen1972. Get yourself over there, and we will see you next time, Ken. Take care, bro.
See you soon.
Cheers, Kenny boy.
Bless him. What a legend.
Yeah, top guy.
Let's be honest here, Lee, to wrap up, because I want to just do last 5-10 minutes on where we go from here, because for me, when you win 1-0 the way that we won it weren't even ugly. It was just lucky, if I'm honest. There's no other words for it. Everything ended up getting the Arsenal way in the end. I know it's frustrating, but everything ended up right for us. So I look at it and I think, right, let's take a look at the... Kenny's joining us. Oh, he's gone back out now. I look at it now and I think that we've got 4 games until the World Cup, mate. We've got Southampton, we've got Forest, we've got Chelsea, and we've got Wolves. I honestly believe the way that we have been playing up until yesterday, we've got a great chance of doing very, very well up until this World Cup break, mate. Do you think now that we've seen that opportunity yesterday a little bit worrying? Do you think that was one of those days, or do you see some jaded players there now that are going to need a little bit of a break and come back next week all firing and fighting? What's your thoughts, mate?
A little bit worried. I'm not going to lie, because I see it on Thursday. I thought it was a woeful performance on Thursday, if I'll be honest. But I put that down to the pitch. I thought, like, the conditions of that and everything like that. I know Kenny said that players let themselves down a little bit there. I'd give them the benefit of doubt because of the conditions that they were playing, a plastic pitch and that. Like, if they get the opportunity, Emirates, no excuses. No excuses. They've got to start performing against better opposition as well. If they get the chance. I want to see Marquinhos play. Why didn't he get a start? I think that he deserves more of a start, in my opinion, than Nelson. But for me, Marquinhos plays. I don't want to see the likes of Saka and that. And if these guys can't do it, then at least we know. I want to see if Marquinhos is going to be a player for us, or we're going to have to get him out on loan on January. That's what I want to see. The same with Nelson. The same with Sandby. I'm not going to condemn these guys. It was a tough ask in Norway. I do think that there was something wrong with the boys yesterday. They looked very, very jaded. They was all right first half. If you look back on it, Dan Jesus should have scored. It was a sitter. We could have actually been in that first half 2-0 up, and it would have been a little bit more comfortable for us, But again, I'm a big Jesus fan, and I'm loving what he's doing and all that. But he's got to be ruthless in front of goal, and he's not. Missing as many chances as he scored. So, but I just want to brush this one to the side, and I'll have a look at the game against Southampton. I want to see a marked improvement in that performance, because the last few performances that we've done, Dan, that's why we're thinking, like we played Spurs, and straight away, we both back to beat Liverpool, because that's what we've seen. You know what I mean? Then when you think, like, after watching Liverpool, you think, right, let's our fancies against Leeds because of what we've done in that one there. But all of a sudden now you get that performance against Leeds, and you little doubts come into your mind. I will say this now, though, look, I'm very, very impressed with Leeds. I'm fortunate enough to talk to a few Leeds players after the game, and they're saying that, once they get Bamford fit, they've got some very, very good players there, and they have. So, listen, they've played 4 games at home, won 2, drawn 2. Now they've lost 1, so, we're the first team to go there and win then. So I think we've got to take the pluses from it. And as I say, we've played nine games. Even though we lost to Man United, we played 9 games and we played really, really well in them. And I remember having a conversation with Sophie, over there at the hybrid squad, when she was saying, I want to see us not play well and win a game. Like, I'm fed up with us playing well and winning the game. Like, well, there you've got it now. Like, you can't have it all. You can't. You're not going to play well every week. Then you know that, and I know that. So listen, we got away with it. I think we did get away with it in a little way there. I think there was a little bit of luck involved, because 9 times out of 10, then they score penalties, didn't they? Penalties are scored. And I'm going to be really honest. If that penalty would have gone in, we'd have lost that game. They was all over us like a rash. So we were lucky. I actually said to Junior, who's sitting next to me or standing next to me, I said to him, Ramsdale's got to save this, otherwise we're in big trouble. And fortunately, they missed it.
100%, man. I can't lie. It's been frustrating to see that we can defend that badly. But you're right. They look jaded. You can get an off day. Mate, we won the game. We got to move on now. We won the game. It's 3 points. And we wouldn't have done that a few seasons ago. There's something different about the mentality of this side at the moment. And I think even Arteta had come out and said, like, wow, I will take it and we'll move with it, because, there's players there that we haven't seen in the Arsenal shirt before, and we haven't seen those games with these players before, and we've seen those performances with different players, and it ain't gone our way. So for me, it shows that we are moving forward and we are progressing, and we've got to be positive going into those games. Now, I think with PSV, it's going to be interesting to see what he does, because we've obviously got to rotate. I expect to see Turner, might even see Cedric. I think we'll probably see maybe Granit Xhaka and Gabriel. Everybody else will be rested, I imagine. And I'm happy with that. I know that it might not be enough to beat a very good side in PSV that have won 5-0 twice in a row now, but so be it. We need to be sensible with our squad. We can't just keep playing this same 11 every single week, because it will kill us. And that's why everybody is saying, give it time, Arsenal will fall off. They keep saying it to me, and I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear Arsenal will fall off. And they're all saying it, Lee, because they know that we've got 11 to 12 players. And that bench is not good enough, mate. I'm sorry, it ain't good enough. It needs another couple of transfer windows. And I was listening to Arsenal Vision yesterday or day before, and I listened to Clive. and he was saying what Thursday night against Bodo told me, and what yesterday told me as well, was we're still 2 transfer windows away if we want a squad. We've got our first 11, but we're still a couple of transfer windows away if we want a squad. Because when you're bringing on Eddie and you're bringing on Fabio Vieira and you're bringing on Marquinhos, people are thinking, yeah, that's okay. But if we're doing that in the latter stages of the Europa League semi-finals against teams like Barcelona, not so sure that we're going to cope with that. So we have to be realistic as well to know that we're not going to go and get another 14 players in the next 2 windows. But I do think we need a couple in January, and then getting another 4 or 5 players in the summer. I think we'll have a squad of 20 as opposed to a squad of about 14. So that's where I believe the next part of the stage of this project process, whatever the hell you want to call it, is now. That's where I think we've got to be looking at towards the January and the summer league.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you on that. Like, you know, I think we all know as Arsenal fans, and if we are to do anything going forward, and I mean that, if we are even to get into the top 4, January is going to be important to us. We have to make certain signings. We have to make them early as well, Dan. We've got some big games coming up in January. Like, you know, if Arsenal have got anything about them and they really, really want to be successful, by the time they play Spurs, I expect a couple of signings in, like, you know, and may have to spend a little bit over the top, but it will show us everything we want about the owners if they believe that we're got a chance. Because I can tell you this now, it doesn't matter if they sign 6 players next season, Dan, they're not going to have a start to the season that we've got now, you know. And I was talking to a fellow Arsenal supporter today, you know, one of the reasons Arsenal have done really, really well this season, we see it, was the pre-season was spot on. Got everybody in early. When we started that season, for the first time in a very, very long while, we hit the ground running. We didn't have to, and other teams have, like, you know, I remember watching the game in Orlando. Chelsea were a million miles off us. Look where they are now. Drop points here and there, like, you know. Manchester United didn't have a turbulent pre-season. I'll tell you that Crystal Palace had a turbulent season pre-season. Look what they're struggling like. Arsenal got it spot on this time around, and that's very, very important. So they're going to have to get it spot on now in January. And if they do, who knows? You know, I only watched the highlights of the Man City game yesterday. Believe it or not, they're not invincible, are they? Like, you know what I mean? Because they've been beaten. So you can get them. And it was good to see in the end of it. Like, Liverpool played no different to what they did against us. They were a little bit, made a couple of selections, but it was a good game of football, just like it was at our ground. Like, home advantage is a key thing there. And Manchester City fell slightly short of it yesterday. Like, you know, so we're in with a chance of doing really, really well this season if we get it right in all departments. Then, not just on the field, not just in the managerial training offices and the training ground, but also in the transfer window as well.
Listen, I think you've summed it up perfectly for me, mate. And at the moment, it's all positive. It's looking good. And let's hope it continues Thursday. Big game Thursday. You know, we've got to win that to make sure that we're top of this group and that we keep going through. Yeah. And then we can concentrate on Southampton. And for me, we need to use this squad wisely. But at the same time, we do need to be aware of where we're still short going into January. Because let's be honest, we've got 4 games, then the World Cup, and it ain't going to be long before that January window's open and we're starting to get linked with players again, which sounds mad because it only feels like a few weeks ago that it shut. But there we go. That's what this season's done, Lee. Listen, guys, smash a like on your way out from this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you can come and support myself as well, that would be amazing. I'm literally about 200 off of 6K. So please come and help me get to 6K people at Football's 12th Man podcast on YouTube. But like and subscribe to this one as well, of course. Lee, any last words, mate, going on to Thursday?
Yeah, one last word. Just want to wish your dad, Stephen, a very, very happy birthday. It's his birthday today, as you, of course, you would know that, but the viewers don't. Top guy. So I hope he has a lovely, or he's having, and continues to have a very lovely birthday.
Listen, thank you very much, mate. That's very nice. I should have done that, really, but thank you for doing that for me, Lee. That's very kind of you, mate.
No problems whatsoever. Like, you know, Donna won't be happy with you later on. Like, you know,
I'll be getting beats, mate. I'll be getting beats. But no, I do thank you for that, mate, and wish my dad a happy birthday. Of course, away in London they are. They've been away in London. Going to watch the Only Fools and Horses tonight in the old Panto. So
they're enjoying it. It's a good one. That is. Like,
I ain't seen that one, so they'll enjoy that one. Or I've been told it's a good one. So they'll enjoy that tonight. Like, but wicked, Lee. I will see you in the week, mate. We'll be back on these streams, I'm sure, doing some more content soon. But until then, we'll see you next time, and up the Arsenal, people. Take care.